This episode is brought to you by New Zest. Welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia. I'm an Auckland wedding photographer and your host. On today's episode, I'm joined by Wellington bride Tamera, who shares the beautiful story of how she and her husband Josh went from co-workers to soulmates. From a surprise vineyard proposal to planning their wedding at a private property, Tamera talks us through the highs, the challenges, and all the little details that made their day unforgettable. We chat about the importance of trusting your vendors and why hiring a coordinator was the best investment she made, her custom wedding dress journey, navigating the tricky parts of bridal party dynamics, and how she structured her day to spend more time with her guests. Tamera is so open about the realities of wedding planning, from budget blowouts to letting go of control, and she shares plenty of hot tips along the way. I know you guys are going to love this one, so let's get right into it. Enjoy episode 116 with Tamera. Hi Tamera, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. So excited to chat all about your wedding.
Thanks for having me. Very excited to be on here. Like I said, I messaged you and I was like, I listened to you throughout my entire wedding process, which was super helpful. So I'm excited to be a guest and be able to give out my tips and tricks and talk about my beautiful day, our beautiful day.
Yay, love to have brides that the podcast has helped them and then be able to tell your story. To get started with, if you could just tell us a bit about you and your husband, how you guys met, and your life together.
I live in Wellington and my husband also lives in Wellington as well. And we used to work together. I think it must have been about 12 years ago, early 20s. We worked in a call centre and we were in the same team. And this is really bizarre. So we were actually in the same team and we didn't talk at all. So we must have worked together for maybe like a year and a half and just no conversations at all, no hi, no nothing, but we just knew each other over there. And so like when we would be in the lift or like we're in the kitchen at the same time, we'd obviously lock eyes and there was that little bit of tension there, but it was never explored. After a year and a half, we both went like our different ways. Josh was studying at uni. I was a young mum and also went into a different career. And I ended up working, or I still do today, work at chartered accountants, and my husband is an accountant. So it was just really random that he was also studying to be a CA and I was working for chartered accountants. So a few years went by and we ended up randomly bumping into each other on a wild night out on Courtney Place in Wellington at El Horno. And as I walked in, it was just like this wild moment where he kind of just stood there on the dance floor and just like looked at me and just like pointed at me and was like, Tamera, hey. And I was like, Josh Mann, because I was like, he never spoke to me. I obviously thought he was very handsome. And so when he spoke to me, he was just like, I always wanted to talk to you, but I was just too scared to talk to you. And I was like, well, I always wanted to talk to you, but you just came across as super arrogant. And I just didn't know if, anyways, so that happened. And then I guess the rest was history. We actually started dating for like 6 months. And then I always had this rule where if I ever dated someone, which he was actually the second person I ever dated. So I had this rule that I wanted to date them before I would introduce them to my son and if it was like a serious thing. So we dated and it was really cool. We worked really close by. We would on like walks like at lunchtime during work hours and just all those little things just turned into like really special moments. And still today it feels like we're still in that honeymoon stage, even though we've been together for 6 years now. So nothing special, but it's special to us, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's how we met. We ended up having a little girl together called Penelope, and that was just like the next step for us. It was just like this, I can't explain it, but a different type of love that we have together for someone else now. And so we had Penelope, we bought a house and stuff together, and it just seemed right for Josh to, I guess, when your next question comes up, where he proposes to me.
Yeah. So good. No, I love to hear that story. And yeah, so interesting that you had those kind of like moments near each other, but it was just like a timing thing maybe when you
Yeah,
actually came together.
I agree with you. It was definitely timing. It was just really bizarre. Like there was must have been like a 5 year gap where we didn't see each other at all. And then one night we just bumped into each other on a random night out, and it was just that was it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
so good. Yes, so that is my next question. You were together for a while, taking off some big life milestones and then got engaged. Can you tell us a bit about the proposal story?
So I was turning 30, so I'm 32, 33, yeah, 33 this year. And we had organised, well, Josh had organised for us to go over to the Wairarapa in Martinborough, where there's a lot of vineyards and lots of cool restaurants. And there's two vineyards that I just absolutely adore. And Josh already knew, like, yeah, we'll go there for lunch. We'll do like a little tour, I guess, a vineyard tour, and we'll go to the three that I really liked. And it just happened that he organised to get my brother and his fiance, my older sister, to come along for the lunch as well, just to celebrate my 30th. So I just thought nothing of it, to be fair, because I was just like, yeah, cool, I get to see my brother. I'd obviously just had Penelope as well, so it was a great opportunity for him to meet Penelope. And yeah, I was like, oh, and they can see our new house. So I just thought, just organising a birthday gathering, I guess, going out for lunch to some cool restaurants. So my family were all together. We all went over to Martinborough in the morning because we were spending the day there. And the first place we went to was Moy Hall, which is like my favourite vineyard. Like I love the food there, the wine, everything's always just so amazing, and the atmosphere is great. And I know a lot of people love Moy Hall. I've never heard anything negative about it. So if you haven't been to Moy Hall, go to Moy Hall. It is stunning. The food's just amazing. Anyway, so I went to the bathroom and came back and just kind of carried on. Nothing weird was really happening in the moment. I did notice that Josh and my brother were drinking way more than what they usually would. And it was the first vineyard. So I was like, this is my birthday, guys. Calm down.
Pace
What's
yourself.
going on? Yeah, like I was like, what the heck is happening here? So, something obviously must have happened when I went to the bathroom, but I didn't know exactly what was going on because I did sense like weird things are happening. And I was like looking at my sister and I was like, is she okay? I don't know. I just thought that something was a bit weird happening. Anyways, we finished at Moy Hall. We went to Poppy's, which is a really special place for me and Josh, where we go and celebrate special milestones like, when he graduated being a CA, when we had Penelope. So we just would go there, just me and him, and it was just always a special place to go to. So we go to Poppy's and the champagne and stuff comes out. Once again, I'm just thinking, yeah, it's my birthday. Like, makes sense, how good. And my brother was looking at me really weird. And I was just like, because we've got quite a close relationship, I was just like looking at him. I was like, are you all right? Why are you looking at me like that? It's so weird. Because like we're quite close, so I can pick up on people's like behavior and stuff and think if something is off or weird. Anyways, straight after that, Josh got on one knee and then he proposed to me, and it was just like everything around me just froze, and it was just us. Like, does that make sense? Like, it was like a tunnel vision moment.
Mm,
And I had literally no idea at all because I was like, this is my birthday. I just didn't think at all that, he would even want to do it during like, anyways, I'm going in a tangent. Yeah, so he got down on one knee and he proposed and it was beautiful. I had my siblings around me, which was really special. After he proposed to me, I like asked them if they knew, and they didn't know until we were at Moy Hall when I went to the bathroom. And so my brother and that found out then, and they were just like, that's why they were acting weird because
you
I was
felt the vibe shift. Yeah.
yeah, like it wasn't like a woo. It was like they were all nervous as well because they had just found out. Like it was like a good shock, but the way they were acting, I was like, "What's wrong with you guys?" Like why is everyone drinking so much right now? Like, I'm here, like, enjoying it, just chilling. And I was just like, this is so weird. But it all made sense once we got to Moiko, like, there was bottles coming out. And yeah, it was really nice. It was cool as well because after he proposed to me, like I said before, like, everywhere just froze, like, around us because there was obviously people around. Um, it was funny that they could hear because there was so many people at um, Poppy's that day. So it's just crazy. Like if you get proposed to in front of people and you don't think they're going to see, they're going to see. As soon as they see someone popping down, they're all going to know. So it was really beautiful. Lots of people were coming up and like congratulating us, buying us like wine and stuff. Like it was really nice. So it was perfect that he proposed to me at that special place because it is a special place for us. So it was nice to make that lovely memory together there. Yeah.
Oh, so nice. I love that story. Always interested to hear about people who get proposed to in public as well. Because, yeah, I mean, not like you were on a stage, but people around. And, but
Yes.
yeah, having that still like tunnel vision moment that felt like just the two of you. Yeah,
Yeah.
so cool. Had you been one of those girls that dreamed about a wedding? Did you have kind of a vision in mind for what you wanted? Where did you sort of start in choosing a location, all of that?
I never really was that type of girl that would dream about her wedding. Like, just never really passed my mind. Like, I would love the thought of being married to someone, but not the big white wedding. I never really had a moment where I was like fascinated and like, oh, I was never really like that. So, once I got proposed to, yeah, it happened really hot and quick. I was like, right, I know what I want, I know where I want to have it. It happened really quickly what I wanted to do and like how it looked as well. But the thing with me, lots of people will know, is I'm a very indecisive person. So when it came to the planning and everything, I guess it started with the date and like when do we want to get married? Like how does this look? Because you've also got to think financially, but you've also got to think about people that would be coming from overseas. When would that work for them? Like it wasn't like a okay, let's get married like in the next couple of months. It was like let's give us like a couple of years, and so we set the date, and then the planning just came naturally. I guess I always visualize like the flowers and stuff that I liked. I kind of made like a Pinterest board, and at the start I had these three colors, which was white hydrangeas, green hydrangeas, and I love this color ruby red, which is my grandmother's ring. And so I've always been like really driven to this color. So that had to be added into the color scheme of our planning. So just little pinches of it. I really wanted to, yeah, have that color in there. So I stuck to it, and I can see how other people can get really fixated and changing their minds when they're looking at things on social media. And I really tried hard, very hard, to kind of stay off it and just stick to that because I could see myself being like confused, like, oh, I want these colors, oh, I want those colors. So I stuck to basically white and green and then pinches of red in our colour scheme. But yeah, I guess, like I said, those were the colours that we wanted because we wanted it to be more like fresh, and we also wanted to mix a bit of like old money. Does it mix like old money kind of vibe to it as well? I guess with the venue and stuff, as a little girl, my dream home has always been a villa, like an old school villa. So with the venue that we went with, it was perfect. It basically was the vision. And I felt like we didn't really need to get lots of decor and trying to like spruce the house up with lots of wedding things. I really wanted just to use the house as like our base, our foundation, and just using like the flowers and white, linen and stuff like that to be it. I didn't really want to go extra and have all sorts of extravagant things. I just wanted it to be purely like the house was like the main thing.
I love a villa as well. Just, I don't know, it has like a bit of history and yeah, beautiful as like a backdrop to a venue.
So that's kind of where the vision went once we had that beautiful house to use. But then the logistics side of things kind of came in, and it was like, how does this work? Because it is, once again, on a private property, and it wasn't like a huge property either, where we had lots of land to work with. So, um, obviously, we'll speak about it. But yeah, that's kind of when things get a bit fun.
You've mentioned a few things there, but yeah, did you have your kind of top priorities for the day, the most important elements that you were thinking about?
I really wanted to make sure that everything went to plan, and like the transitioning from the ceremony to the cocktail hour to the reception. I wanted to make sure that it all ran smoothly. We were really lucky that we had George and Co. Be our wedding coordinator, and it was pretty much their wedding. I said, "This is your wedding. Do what you want. Just, I don't want to know about anything happening." So those were one of the biggest things. I didn't want any family, nobody doing anything. It was just George and Co. It was their wedding. You tell us, direct us where you want us to go. Obviously, we came up with a plan and stuff like that, like months prior, and then a couple of weeks before the actual day, it was all set in stone, and everyone was all aware. And Lauren, who was our holy grail, like honestly, I feel like if you don't have a wedding coordinator, you need a wedding coordinator. And for us, because we had it on a private property, it was quite hard to logistically think like, can we do this ourselves? Can we like just get family and friends that have put their hands up saying, oh, it's fine, like, we'll help them do it. But actually, no, like if you want to have quite a traditional wedding, what we did, it wasn't super traditional, but we definitely used it as our foundation and used like parts of us that are fun and with our friends and family, involved them and throughout the whole thing. Would it have been possible to do it if we didn't have our day coordinated by someone externally?
Mm.
No. But luckily we did, invest and get George and Co to do the coordination of our day, because I actually would have been completely lost. I don't know what I would have been like. I probably would have been a hot mess if I didn't have Lauren from George and Co help. So that was one of the priorities slash main elements, was to make sure that the whole day went smoothly, because I have gone to weddings before, and for example, after the ceremony, you go straight to the cocktail hour. There's that big break, and I haven't been a huge fan of the big break. So one of our key things was to make sure that we did our first look, we got all of our bridal photos done, so that after the ceremony we had like, I don't know, maybe like 8 family photos of people that we wanted to have them with, and then we could actually spend that whole time with our friends and family that had come from overseas and hang out with them during the cocktail hour, because you pay for that too, so you want to enjoy it as well. Because you hear about people and they're like, oh, I completely missed out on the cocktail hour, but it seemed like heaps of fun. So we were like, yeah, we want to be with people and spend as much time as we can with them before it gets too formal. That was definitely one of the key things for me and Josh, was to make sure that we spent time with everybody and it didn't feel like the day was gone and we didn't catch up with people that we really wanted to.
Love that. So good. Such important ones there. And I love that you structured your timeline in that way to spend more time with your guests and, yeah, just be really present. Can you talk to us about your wedding outfits a bit? Your dress, how was that process? Finding it, getting it made? Yeah.
Well, so it started off at Paper Swan in Wellington, and me and my best friend, we went to Paper Swan and I tried on one dress and I put it on and I thought, wow, is this really happening? Like, I'm getting emotional now talking about it. It's such an amazing feeling, process that all brides will go through. And I didn't expect myself to start getting like emotional, but it was an exciting emotion. It was like, wow, I'm getting married. And so the first dress I put on, I wasn't 100% sure, but I did like the style and everything of it. It definitely showed off the bits that I wanted to be showed off. Bear in mind that I don't wear white, I always wear black and maybe pops of colour depending how I'm feeling. So wearing a white dress was a bit different for me, and because it's long as well, I'm quite short, like borderline dwarf. I'm hitting it, but wearing a long dress was like, how does this gonna look on me? Because I'm so short and I always wear dresses that are above my knee or just below my knee. I would never pull out of my wardrobe like a midi dress. So that was another confronting thing for me to feel comfortable in, is wearing a really long dress or how is this going to work? So incorporating a split was like a huge thing for me. It's like, we need to break it up or else I'm going to look like a nun. We need to figure this out. So the first dress I tried on, it did have a split. I've got quite a big bust as well, so we really needed to make sure that I felt secure with the girls because I was like, I don't want to feel uncomfortable wearing like a bra underneath, blah, blah, blah. But I've never tried on dresses before, so I didn't know what to expect. So when I went in, this dress was perfect. It didn't move. The girls were fine. There was a split added, and so that was perfect. So I did try on a couple more dresses, as you do when you go and try things on, because you want to make sure that these other dresses could be the one as well. So I tried on those. We left. I went back again and again and again, and I was emailing Paper Swan. And then I went back again with my best friend, and we tried on the dress, and I was set in stone. Yeah, this is the one. What we ended up doing, the reason why I kept going back and forth is because I kept trying on different style dresses because of the skirt and the way that the split was and the type of material and the color as well. I didn't go black, just so you know. I obviously went white, but
So a
I
lot of shades of white, though,
oh,
isn't there?
honestly, there's just so many different shades, and I didn't do any homework before I went in to try on this dress. That's one big thing that I would tell every bride is don't get fixated on what you see on social media. Everyone's bodies is different, and that's absolutely fine. Some things might not fit how you expected it to, but you can find something that does fit your body, and they can do things to make it how you want it to be. So, for example, the first dress I tried on, I loved the structure and the way it looked, but I didn't like the material, so we needed to change the material. And then I went onto a different color, so we chose a different color, and then we chose a different skirt. So it was a custom made dress in the end. We did it. We made it in the end, and we went with the most beautiful dress, something that I would never go for, but it just worked out perfectly for my body with the veil and stuff. Oh, that was another thing. I think that was the most hardest thing because I really wanted a veil that has like the beautiful patterns at the bottom of it, but I couldn't find anything that was in Wellington. And me being me with like two kids, a husband, and work and everything, I was like, ugh, do I need to like fly to Auckland and go and try on like some veils, or does anyone have a veil? And lucky enough for me, one of my friends' page actually had this beautiful Trish Ping veil, and I was lucky enough that I got to borrow it, and it was just perfect. So if you know anyone, if you've got friends that have just got married, it doesn't hurt just to reach out to see, hey, do you still have your veil? You could rent it, you could buy it off them, you never know. So I was just lucky enough that I got to rent out her veil for the day, and it was just perfect. So I didn't have to find myself flying around the country or ordering things that could have turned up, and I would have been like, oh no, this isn't the one. So I think that was the only thing that I actually had an issue with. But other than that, everything was just perfect. And then for the girls wore the Ruby Cow black dress. And another hot tip, if you've got friends and stuff or design a wardrobe, you can just rent them. So we ended up just renting out all the girls' black dresses. That was like obviously a good cost effective thing for us. It just worked out that way. Don't get me wrong, I did go on a little bit of a shopping haul and bought a few from some other websites from overseas, and they just didn't sit as nice as what the Ruby Cow did. Like, I just love the way it sat on the girls' bodies. It just moved with them. You don't want to be wearing something that you don't feel good in, and they all felt beautiful in them, and they looked beautiful. So that was easy. That was tick. And then the boys, they ended up renting and hiring out these suits as well. Apart from Josh, he bought parts of his suit, and they went to Rembrandt. Oh, I don't know how to say it properly.
Rembrandt, yeah.
Rembrandt. So they went to Rembrandt and hired out these suits, and it was a really cool, special moment for them as well. They've got a store in Wellington, which is really beautiful inside, and they just had some beers and stuff. Tried it on. I sent best man a brief, just some photos of like make sure he doesn't go off topic. Um, and so they stuck to that. And so it was just the black suit. Josh had the white shirt with the black buttons and a black bow tie, and the boys had the black suit, but a white shirt with the white buttons or the clear buttons, just so that kind of you wouldn't be able to tell, but me and Josh obviously could see that we were really good. And so that was just easy, simple.
Love that. Some great tips in there. I've got a few friends and clients actually that have like lent their veil to someone or passed it on. And I feel like that's, pieces like that people are usually happy to part with. It's not like you're having fully the same dress or anything. Renting suits and dresses as well. Such a good way to do it. And it's often like they're just going to wear it for one day. I mean, those ruby dresses are always beautiful and can be reworn, but
Yes.
yeah, great way to do it. So yeah, you've had a bridal party. What was the process like choosing them? Was that quite easy?
Once I found out that I got engaged, I knew straight away who were going to be my bridesmaids. It was going to be two of my childhood friends, and I had a best friend who lived in Japan as well, and we had a couple of other girls that were my childhood friend. So later down the track, I think it was a couple of months before we actually got married, I had my hens, and that was beautiful and perfect. And then after my hens, I did have one of my childhood bridesmaids actually pull out. The reasoning behind her having to pull out was absolutely fine. I just think that, you go through seasonal friends and stuff, but because she was my childhood friend, I just didn't think anything different or anything like that was going to happen because, we grew up together, eat, sleep, breathed, as childhood friends do. But as adults, things change, especially if you don't live in the same area. Like your day-to-day lives are completely different. You catch up and stuff like that, but you're not living in the now. Does that make sense? We're not living together.
Yeah.
Or we're not living in the same area together, so things just completely change. We just grow apart as adults, and that's completely fine and normal. But yeah, I would be very mindful when you're going through the process of choosing who you want to be your bridesmaid, because things change and it's totally normal. People are more surprised when they find out, like, oh, our bridesmaid dropped out, but then other people that have got married have actually gone through the same thing. And I don't know if it's like a taboo subject to talk about, but it is happening. And people do drop out of the bridal party, and that's absolutely fine. And it is what it is. So, in the end, I had three bridesmaids. So, two, unfortunately, I had to drop out. So, one of them, she didn't drop out because she wanted to. She lives in Japan, and she had a beautiful little baby just before we got married. And so she was still a bridesmaid, but unfortunately she couldn't come, and she was still part of the process every step. And she was with me when I chose my wedding dress as well. So I was just lucky that she did actually become a part of my wedding. Even though she wasn't there, she was still there. So it was really beautiful to still include her. So, and with the boys, that was a no-brainer for Josh. He just had his best friends and his two cousins, and we knew from the start that they were going to be part of our big day because they're a huge part of our lives day to day as well. And same thing with the girls. One childhood friend who lives down south, we're very, very close. We don't see each other all the time, but when we do, it's like, nothing has ever changed. And she's definitely the friend that would like pull me up. And I think all my friends are like that, to be fair. If I could have had all my friends to be my bridesmaids, that would have been great. But, it's just one of those things where you just want to make sure that when you choose your bridesmaids, that it's for the right reasons. It's for, they're going to be there to support you on your day. And it's not about them, it's about you. And to make sure that you communicate really well and clear with them. But if they know you, then you wouldn't have to do all those things. So, yeah, just a little couple of things, but I wouldn't change anything. I'm so glad that I chose the person that did drop out to be my bridesmaid, because I still wanted her to be it, but things change.
I think that will be so relatable for a lot of brides, and I've heard a few different experiences like that. I think for everyone, like your relationships and friendships just evolve over time. You kind of go through these different seasons, and also I think just not being afraid. Like I think a lot of people's approach is, oh, who have I known the longest? They'll be in my bridal party. But you can choose a newer friend that you might actually have a stronger relationship with. And so, yeah, not necessarily basing it on timing.
Because now I just heard that little part that you said, you might have chosen a friend that you might not have known for so long. And yeah, one of my bridesmaids that I got to step up, I had known her for years and we only reconnected over the last couple of years. And so it was just like the missing piece to the puzzle, really, for me. And it was a no brainer that she had to be my bridesmaid. And she really stepped up and just pulled through, even though she came in very last minute. When I mean last minute, I mean like a month before I got married. And she was just flawless. She just did what she needed to do as a bridesmaid. And yeah, I'm just really grateful and thankful that she said yes. Because like you said before, like, you have friends that come in quite late in the piece or someone that you've only just met. And so I was like, hope she's not going to be offended. But no, she wasn't. And she was amazing. So yeah.
So good. No, I think it's a really interesting piece to kind of think about that process of choosing them. And obviously you're thinking about like the strength of your friendships and stuff, but also kind of like their personalities, what they're going to be like through the process and on the day. Are they going to be supportive? Are they going to make it all about themselves? Like, yeah, kind of thinking through your relationships that way, not in a brutal way where you're creating this hierarchy, but just having those things in mind, definitely.
Yeah.
How about the guest list? Did you find that tricky to narrow down?
No, we didn't. We were really strict on our guest list. We knew exactly who we wanted to be there. It was a bit hard towards the end when we were sending out our invites. When it came to like plus ones, I was really harsh and made it very clear when we were going through it that we didn't want people that actually hadn't made effort with us within a certain amount of time frame. And are these people going to be part of our future? Because it's a big day for us, and we don't want to be like introducing ourselves to people that we've never met before on our wedding day. Because like I've had to go to a wedding before and be that person as well. And it's kind of like I wish that for them that they could have invited someone that they did know. So I was really strict on it. It was, it was quite cutthroat. Like if you'd been with that person for XYZ amount of time, and had you also like met our children as well, because they're quite a huge part of our lives. Like they're not going anywhere. They're our blood as well. It's not just us. We're a family. So also, it was like an interview. It sounds like an interview, doesn't it? Going through, making sure have they ticked these boxes off if they were a plus one. I would have invited more people if I could have, but due to the size of the place that we were having our wedding at, we just logistically couldn't. So we had around 50 to 60 people at our wedding.
Nice. That's a
Yeah.
good number. Let's be honest, most of us want to feel better, move better, and get the most out of every day, especially when wedding planning. That's where New Zest comes in. Their clean, lean protein is made from premium European golden peas. It's light, smooth, and supports recovery without the heaviness of whey. Pair it with good green vitality with over 75 ingredients working together to support energy, immunity, and gut health. It's like nutritional insurance in one scoop. And for that healthy wedding glow, Glowing All Over combines nature's best botanicals with beauty-focused nutrients to nourish your skin, hair, and nails from within. Simple, effective, trusted. That's New Zest. So if you're ready to fuel your body and feel your best, head to newzest.com and discover the difference. Thank you so much to New Zest for supporting this episode of the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. And yeah, can you tell us about the big day, maybe that little bit leading up to it, and yeah, any highlights or favorite moments?
I would recommend taking a week off prior to your wedding. If you're able to do that. I did that and it was really useful for me and Josh just to like take a minute, take it all in and just get our shit together, really, making sure that we're organized. So we took that week off where we were able to just do all those last minute things. And we're lucky that we went to our local liquor store and we got all of our alcohol from there. So that was one of the big things we had to do. And I'm not saying that all of our guests were heavy drinkers, but we do like a good drink. So we made sure that we had enough alcohol, which was like 2 trips from where I live over to the Wairarapa. So we had to think of the logistics there with how that was going to get over there. So we weren't coming back and forth because we really wanted to stay at the venue the week of our wedding and not come back. So what we did was we kind of allocated a couple of jobs out to our bridal party just to take some stuff over. We didn't have too much stuff, which was really good. Like I said earlier, we wanted to make sure that the house was the main thing. So we didn't have heaps of like decor stuff to take over. That was one thing that we just had to lock down. We also had to go and get little things like the dance floor and stuff like that, because when you go through like the wedding process and you're looking at the details, when you're hiring out stuff, it actually can take the cost back if you take it yourself, if you're able to do that. So we were being a bit savvy in that area, trying to make sure that where we can cut some costs here, like for example, like getting the alcohol going to the bottle store and getting all of that, doing an order through them. Our dance floor, like cut the cost back for the transport there, our portaloos and stuff like that, which was really good because we had it on a private property. We kind of had to do all the shifting and moving ourselves until like the week of the wedding where the vendors would come and drop stuff off, which was amazing because once we got to the venue, if you're lucky enough, we pretty much just chilled and just enjoyed being at the house. Went out for lunches and stuff. My family were all over. I got to spend time with the kids before things got really hectic. The night before the wedding, Josh went out with the boys and played golf. And I went out for lunch with the girls to Moy Hall, and it was just really beautiful. And while we were out, all the vendors and stuff started like turning up to the house. So we didn't actually have to be there. So we did the rehearsal and then we all went out for dinner and we just met all of our bridal party, our friends and family that was staying in Martinborough. And that was really nice. So if you're able to, I would highly recommend trying to get a dinner. And I know it sounds like chaos, but we were really lucky that we were able just to have a minute and just be like, cool, this is all in George and Co's hand now. Like we can just relax and just go with everything we've planned for the last year, and it's all in their hands to make sure everything runs smoothly. And we were just really lucky it did run really smoothly for us. So, but day before, would highly recommend if you're able to spend time with those people that you might not get to have one-on-one time with on the wedding day. So it'd be like a highlight for me and Josh was actually doing that amazing stuff on the day before the wedding. The wedding day itself, well, we started at 7 a.m. So we had Duo Style, who were our makeup artists and hairstylists, and they're both sisters. And I've known them for years. They've always been my go-to gals where I have an event on, I'm like, you guys need to fix me ASAP. And they've always done amazing with their hair and makeup. So we had the girls come at 7, and then I obviously incorporated like my sister and my niece in that as well, which was nice to get one-on-one time with them while we could. And the morning was really cool. We had lots of music on and we were just drinking champagne and stuff. And I was actually okay. And people know me as quite a stressful gal. Like I'm always like, I'm stressed, or I'm always just like, got so much going on. But it was just such a beautiful moment for me. And I think everyone else around me to be like, wow, Tamara's like really chill. Like, how is she just like so chill right now? And I think it was because, well, what can go wrong? Like, it's actually just about Josh and I. We're about to meet each other down the aisle soon, and the rest is it's just a day. At the end of the day, it's a beautiful day, but it is just a day. But I think George and Co really saved me. Just letting go and letting them do everything while we were getting our own stuff done. I just didn't have to worry about anything. It was amazing. And so in the morning, the florist and stuff turned up, and we were just really lucky enough that one of our florists was actually our friend. She stopped doing her florist as a business, but still was doing like the odd jobs. So I would highly recommend if you know anyone like local and that are still being a florist or stop being a florist, you never know, just reach out. They might be able to do something for you. And so we were really lucky that we have Rebecca from Thistlenev. She was able to help us with our flowers. So when she came in, it was like seeing a friend, like, hi, like really special that she got to see me before I got married. And then after we got all dolled up, we went upstairs in this house because we stayed at a different Airbnb, and Josh met me upstairs. And so we had Nosy Parker, we had Picked by You, we had a drone outside. It was all full on. I felt like a celebrity. I was like, what is happening? And so we did our first look, and I was so emotional. Like, I feel emotional talking about it now. It's just one of those feelings when you're about to marry the most special person that means so much to you. Seeing them for the first time in your dress, and the day that you guys have been talking about for so long is about to happen. And so it just became such a surreal feeling. And it was just like all these amazing people are here for us because they love and care for us. So yeah, that was really nice. So that was really special. So we got our photos and stuff done. And then after that, we went to, actually, before we went to the ceremony, I made the girls pull over, go to the bottle store, run into the bottle store and get a bottle of Fireball because I was like, shit, I'm a little bit nervous now. How's it? Like, I'm nervous. And so I weren't doing shots. I had the bottle and I was so like, oh, it's happening, it's happening. And so we hopped in our car, which was a nice vintage car. Don't ask me the name of it because I can't remember what type of car. Um, and it just fit in perfectly with our theme and everything. So when we got there, my little girl met me there as well because I didn't have the children with me while we were getting ready. It was a big no for me. I didn't want the children around me just because I didn't want to feel stressed or anything. I did have Penelope come and see me after I was dressed, but not while the girls and everyone were getting ready. Once I got there, I saw Penelope. She was with my mum. The girls walked down to a beautiful song, and then my mum and Penelope were holding hands, and they went down before me. And then my song came on, and just before I went down, we had Penelope say a really beautiful piece, and like she did a voice recording. And so when she went down, it just got everyone. And I think that was probably our highlight of the whole thing was when I walked down the aisle. I spoke to Josh about it last night. I was like, just to confirm, was that your favourite part? And he said, yeah, when I was walking down the aisle. So once we walked down the aisle, it was just like just me and Josh. It just felt like it was just me and Josh the whole time. And then after that, what we did was we went to the back of the house, which had like a pole at the back of the house, and that's where we did our cocktail hour. And we had a DJ and a sax there, which was really cool. And so George and Co had to do their magic and flip the front into our reception in a very speedy time frame. And they nailed it. I don't know how they did it, but they nailed it. And that was one of the biggest things that I was really worried about. I was like, how's everyone going to leave the front of the house where we just had our ceremony to the back? So I was lucky enough. I had an amazing MC. He pulled through. He was one of my best friends, and he's done lots of public speaking, so it was a no-brainer for him. He just got everyone out to the back. So I think it's also really handy to choose a good MC. They set the tune and they set the vibe, and how everything's going to run. So he was really good at that. And also he had a list, obviously days before the big day, of like who we wanted photos with. So when we went out to the back bit for the cocktail time, he was just like nicely, not like yelling in the microphone where I've gone to somewhere I've heard them like yelling. And he was just like, right, you guys are up next. And it was just really seamless. And
So
so
helpful as a photographer, let me just say. Always do that with your MC because herding big groups of people can be a nightmare.
yeah, honestly, because I've gone to weddings before when you've seen it all happening, where you're waiting to get those family photos and stuff done, and you're like, "Where's Auntie Bragg?" Or I don't know, you're just waiting for them
It's
to like,
lined it off. Yeah.
yeah. So definitely get your photographer, get your wedding coordinator if you're lucky enough to have one, and your MC to like have a minute or do what you got to do to make sure that you don't have people, and also thinking, oh, I wish I got photos of that person. So me and Josh made sure that we went through a list the week before, whenever we decided to do it, and sent it through to those three people, being like, this is who we want photos with. And so yeah, we did that, and then we had our sax do our wedding entrance for us, which was really cool. So we got everyone with their napkins, like, twirling it around. So when we entered into our reception, that was beautifully done by George and Co. After they flipped it, which was also the first time for us to see it as well, which was quite confronting, I think, the week prior and also throughout the planning was like, how is this going to look? Because we didn't do a mock up. I didn't know what the flowers and everything looked like until I got to the ceremony. So it was just one of those things where I just literally had to let go and trust in my vendors that everything was going to go the way that I wanted it to go. And it really did. So I was really lucky that there wasn't anything that I was like, oh, they missed out this. Oh, where's that? And don't get me wrong, there definitely was things that weren't there, but I'm sure I've heard in some of your other podcasts that you've done, you don't even notice it and no one else notices it. But why does it become such a stressful thing prior to the big day? Like, why does it get into our heads? It's so bizarre. And I'm like, don't worry about it. No one even notices. Just you and I notice, and no one cares. It's the best way to put it. Like little things. We had our reception, which had Craft and Co. do the most beautiful spread. So we had a family style menu as well, and we also couldn't decide which meats we wanted, but in the end we were like, this is our wedding, like we love this meat, and if they don't like that meat, then there's lots of other options that they can have. We also wanted to make sure that we had more food than less, just because we've gone to other weddings before where you do find yourself a little bit hungry, or so maybe you didn't get enough during the cocktail hour, so we kind of incorporated a couple more dishes just to have extra, and we definitely had extra because we were lucky enough to be able to have it for our next day as well, which was amazing. So we ended up going with two red meats, and we just did lots of beautiful salads, etc. So it was amazing, and still today lots of people keep commenting on like how amazing our food was. And also, we didn't do no taste testing. We just hoped for the best on the day, and they pulled through. They were amazing. And then after that, me and Josh actually probably had 30 minutes to ourselves. We took ourselves away from everyone, not because we were super overwhelmed, but we just wanted to take in that moment, just us. So we just went into one of the rooms inside the house, and we just took a minute, just took our time, our bridal party were just coming in and checking on us, and we were fine. It was great. And then I decided to get into my second dress, which I got the day before the wedding, so I didn't know how it was going to go. Um, and it worked out perfectly, thankfully. Lots of buttons to put together. And it was just so funny because lots of people thought that I cut my wedding dress because it must have looked quite similar. But I didn't. I literally just got it off Iconic and just hoped for the best. And if the dress didn't fit, I wasn't going to wear it. It was fine. I was just going to stay in my wedding dress anyway. And it did fit. And so once we had finished having a little minute, the wedding coordinator came in and was like, "Okay, we're ready for you guys to like do your first dance." We didn't really do like a first dance. We kind of just had our sets, do like a cool piece for us, like a Fred again song, and we just kind of went on this black and white dance floor that we got done on the cocktail hour. So during the reception, George and Co. put the dance floor where the cocktail hour was. So it was a lot of like moving pieces when no one was around. And that's obviously because we had it on a private property. And those are just like the logistics and things you've got to think about. How's that going to work and who's going to do it? So thankfully, George and Co.
If you didn't have them, it would have been a lot more chaotic.
It actually would have been absolute chaotic. And like everything just ran so smoothly. We I don't know how they did it, but they did it. They obviously had quite a few people with them as well to help them. But if we didn't have them, like it would have been wild. I don't know how it would have worked, but I mean, they did it and they pulled it off. And so we had our moment on the dance floor, the sax, and then like our bridal party just all kind of came through. So we didn't do like a solo, we didn't learn no dances. It was just like a dip.
Yeah.
And then everyone all just came together. Just because we're not really like that. And we didn't want to have like the spotlight on us. Like it was already on us all day. I'm telling you. Yeah, the rest of it was just like party time, and we actually finished up quite early. I had an afternoon wedding, so our afternoon wedding started at 3:30, and we finished around 10:30, and that was just purely because in Martinborough, everything needs to be shut down at 10. We were in a residential area as well, so we had to be quite mindful of people. And we went out like on a private property out in the Wops. We were like on a street, and so we had to close it up early. But it was cool because we just had our bridal party and close friends with us, just partying with us till the end of the night. Yeah.
Sounds like such an incredible day. So many cool highlights in there, and yeah, great advice for people as well. And I love, yeah, George and Co. just making it all smoothly happen as well. Such a key vendor, definitely. What did you find the hardest part about the whole wedding planning process? Is there anything you look back on and regret or would have done a little bit differently?
The hardest part was probably just letting go, um,
Mm,
and just going with the process. If you don't stick to what you originally wanted and you start going in tangents and like getting really sidetracked with other things, it does become quite stressful. So I found that if I started finding myself doing that, I was like, what are we doing here now? I feel so lost. Trusting in your vendors, honestly, if you don't trust in your vendors and you haven't built a relationship with them during the process of your wedding planning, and you're starting to feel off and on edge, you got to communicate and talk to them, and just to make yourself feel a little bit easier on yourself, because I did find myself a couple of times just like, so is George and Co just going to do all of this? Like, how? Because like I keep saying, if it was on a private property, like your logistics are completely different if it's not on an actual venue that hires out for weddings. This was someone's house that I found on Airbnb.
yeah,
This
I feel
was
like we skipped over that detail, how you found it.
when it came to choosing our venue. I was really, really lucky when I reached out to them. I was like, hey, like, how do you feel if we had a wedding at your Airbnb? Obviously we would pay like whatever they want, like a venue hire, etc. And then if I found out like during that process was the wife was actually an old work colleague, and so that kind of made it a little bit easier for me. But I think if you see anything that you really love, there's no harm in trying or asking, because there are so many beautiful houses, land that you could be able to pop your beautiful wedding on. You just never know. You can make it. I think you can make anything happen. Like, I'm like, look what happened to us. We were on a really small property and we managed to fit all those people on there. I guess back to your question, the hardest part was just letting go and just trusting in George and Co. You do all this planning and you then have to like let it go and give it to them to now reach out to your vendors, and you just gotta really hope for the best that all the planning that I had done was gonna liaise with everything that was gonna happen on the big day, because I was like, what if I've forgotten something? What if I've done, forgot this or that? But George and Co, they were just amazing. They weren't just like a wedding planner slash coordinator for us. They were just becoming like part of our little bubble for a long time. And I felt really sad. Like once I had to say goodbye to them, it was just like, wow, I've harassed you guys for like a year and a bit and it's over.
It is like that with vendors. I think you build up this relationship with people and then it's like off you go into your married life.
And that thing
Yeah.
is, it's such a weird thing because it's such a special, huge day. It's kind of like when you're about to have a baby, right? I think as well, like I said about my vendors, I've said it so many times, is like you've got to look after them as well. Like some people don't feed their vendors, which I think is bananas, because I'm like, how? They're there walking around like our photographers are there for so long. Like they need
If
to
you're
eat.
doing the full day, then I mean, a lot of people have it in their contract now, but yeah, definitely. If you're there kind of through that dinner time, feed
Yeah,
them.
and that was
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to make sure that the girls in the morning, our hair and makeup stylists, I really wanted to make sure that they had like food near them and like a little platter and stuff, because we want to make sure that they're fueled and they're not feeling like hangry while we're sitting there eating and drinking in front of them. Like even though they're doing a job, we still wanted to make sure that they were like fueled as well for the day, because yeah, I just don't want anyone to feel like they're just turning up for a job and not getting looked after as well.
Much appreciated as a vendor, and then they're gonna, be at their best doing their best work for you
Yeah,
as well. So
exactly.
I love what you said about just letting go as well. I think a lot of people will find that so relatable, and it's kind of like this project that's so close to your heart and all the ins and outs of, and then having to just like give that over to someone, which you should definitely do. But yeah, there's a lot of like feelings around that, and it is, yeah, going back to choosing people that you can trust and that they're just going to run with it and make it even better. Did you guys have a set wedding budget? If you're happy to talk about that, how did you find that whole side of things? Did you go over it? Yeah.
Oh, we definitely went over it.
Yeah.
So we had a set budget of, it was around 50K, but we obviously went over and we ended up spending about 60K. With us, I kind of feel this is me justifying like girl math, which my husband will not like because he's an accountant and has spreadsheets throughout the whole process. Whereas I'm not an accountant, I just work with them. And we went over, but I feel like with my girl math, I'm like, well, we had this beautiful house that we actually got to stay for like 4 days, whereas lots of other venues you don't really get that. All worth it, every single cent, no regrets at all.
Pretty normal figure these days, I think. And yeah, for the type of wedding you had. So, and I don't know, like this, it's rare that people don't go over their budget as well. So you did pretty
Yeah,
well with
so
that.
I exactly, and also one thing that my husband mentioned to me yesterday was like, make sure you mention, you get those final invoices and like a couple of sneaky things will start popping up a couple of weeks prior to the wedding that you might not have included in your budget. So you always want to like overestimate how much you're actually going to spend, because we definitely did have those little sneaky things coming up on us, but we were just lucky enough that we overestimated so that we were able to cover it. But there definitely was a couple in there that I was just like, huh? But so read those fine lines. Just in case it does get yeah, but be prepared. We thought we were only going to go to 50, but it ended up going way more than what we expected. And I think, when we did go over a little bit, it was all reasonable. It all made sense, and you know what are going to be your biggest costs? It's going to be your food, your photography, and your menu. And yeah, be ready for it.
Yeah, no, great advice. Did you guys go on honeymoon straight away, or what did planning that look like?
So I think you're going to Fiji this year. We haven't locked it in yet, but we are definitely going to be going towards November, I think. I don't know if it's a honeymoon because we're taking our children, but it'll be nice to get away, and we're really excited to do that. But if we don't do it this year, we're not in any rush to go and do something. It's one of those crazy feelings after you get married. It's like I get it when you have traditional weddings when people go on their honeymoon like straight away. I get it. I really do. But we weren't able to do it, and that's in our situation.
Something to look forward to, definitely. Did you have any kind of helpful resources that you used during the process for inspiration? You mentioned Pinterest, obviously a favorite, but yeah, if inspo, finding vendors, anything like that.
My first tip would be around makeup. If you're like me, I'm a fussy gal and I only like to stick to one person that does my makeup. And if you're not able to do that, I would suggest getting makeup trials and investing in that, because I can't think of anything worse than turning up on your big day and you're not feeling your makeup at all. I would 100% do makeup trials. Same thing with your hair. Like I had to do a couple of hair trials, even though Dana from Duo Style has done my hair before. Over time, my hair started getting thicker and thicker, and it just wasn't holding. So we just had to keep trying to nail it until we could figure out what was the best um, tools, products, and stuff to use on that day. So I would 100% invest in getting your trials. And I think that was another thing is you've got to remember that you have to pay for those trials too. It's not part of your final invoice for your makeup and bridal makeup. Because I think that's another thing where people get a bit confused with. They think that, oh, is that part of, your wedding makeup? It's not.
They're still doing the makeup 2 times, so it's like you're paying for those. Yeah.
And I have noticed with like some other brides, they do get a bit lost and they're like, oh, what? But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that it is the way that you want it to be, and make sure you communicate with them, give them notes on things that you didn't like, or if you want to try different things. Poor Jamie had a whole page full with both of us putting notes in on things that we wanted to tweak and what we wanted to change, because it is really useful when you get your makeup trial to look at it in a different light. Like if you're wedding outside, like how does it look? Like are there things that you want to change? And how long does it last all throughout the day? Is there a certain product that doesn't work with you? Just tell your makeup artist they're not going to be offended by it. I was really worried, even though I've known Jamie for a very long time, that I was going to hurt her feelings. They get it all the time. I think that's just one thing that you've got to remember is that that's their job. And if it's something that you don't like, that's okay. They can tweak it, they can fix it. So definitely around the hair and makeup. And also for me, because I'm Māori, during summertime, I can tan quite hard. So I got really tan. FYI, wear lots of sunscreen or don't tan at all because that was something that we had to work with because being out in the sun so much, we couldn't find a good tone that worked with me because I was just so dark. Yeah, and if you are wanting to be out in the sun, that's fine. Maybe cover up around your chest area and your face, or just be really conscious with your sunscreen. You don't want to make it look muddy, even though you're not trying to make it look like that. This is really strong here in New Zealand, and you want to make sure that you're covered up. With your wedding dress, I personally think it helped me a lot was not overthinking it and not getting overwhelmed by looking at things on social media because I could see myself sometimes going down a rabbit hole and wanting to try on certain dresses that might not fix my body type. And so when I went in to try on the dresses, I went in with an open mind and was open to whatever they wanted me to try on because they're the professionals. They see different body types all the time, and Paper Swan were amazing, especially dealing with me going in like 1,000 times. But I just had to make sure we were doing the right thing. I was just so worried because you spend so much for your wedding dress, and you just want to make sure it's right because it's a wedding dress. You're never going to wear it. I hope you don't wear it once, but it is also such a special day. You just want to make sure that everything's perfect. So go back there as many times as you want. It's fine. That's what they're there for. And if you don't feel comfortable at that place where you thought you might get your dress from, you can go to other places because I do notice lots of girls that are like too scared to branch out and go to different shops because they think they have to go to that one place because that's where that brand is and that's where that person is. So they think, oh, I need to get my dress from there. No, you don't. Keep trying and keep shopping. But yeah, don't get stuck with everything that you see on social media.
Yeah, very key one about the make sure you're wearing your SPF, especially like most people get married in summer in New Zealand and our sun is so harsh. And yeah, I've seen that before. You don't want to be trying to cover up burn and redness on your wedding day. Yeah, so especially aware of that kind of straps area. So good. How is married life now? Do you feel like you got any of the post-wedding blues?
I definitely do. And you know what's crazy is other vendors are still today like sharing photos of our big day, and I just can't stop talking about the wedding day. Like it was honestly the best day of our lives, apart from having children, is a bit different. But um, me and my husband, we just can't stop talking about it, and we wish we could do it all over again. It was so perfect, but yeah, being married, it does feel the same, but it's like a different spark. I can't explain it, but it's like a really warm, fuzzy feeling, and I'm just like, I feel really proud to be like, that's my husband, and we're married now, and I love talking about our big day. There's just so many things I could talk about it all day still. I will be driving people nuts. I just
I
love
love it. Well, you're in the right place. So good. Oh, I love that description. It's like a different spark. That's a good way to describe it. It's so cool. Amazing. It's been so lovely to chat to you. Is there anything else you wanted to add or that we missed as we wrap up?
So another thing that I didn't mention, or that I forgot to mention to you, sorry, was I was just lucky enough to get my period on my wedding day, and it was quite heavy. If you're a heavy girl, then you'll know what I'm talking about. I woke up in the morning and we stayed at this beautiful Airbnb, and most Airbnbs have white sheets. This is probably TMI. And lucky for my beautiful bridesmaids, they collected the sheets. I jumped in the shower, makeup time, go downstairs. Oh, I'm wearing white satin pajamas. Now there's blood on the pajamas. So we went and got a white towel because at Airbnbs, everything's white, fresh, clean. And I'm having to sit on a towel throughout the process of getting my makeup done. And I know that when I look at some of the photos of when I'm getting ready, I can see this towel on the seat. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Only we all know what that towel's for. And then um, throughout the whole day, I was just continuously going to the bathroom because, got to do what you got to do. When I would go back to where we were sitting at our reception, I was having to like grab my dress. It was so heavy and literally sit my butt on the seat because I was so scared that every time I got up, that if I was sitting on my dress, there was going to be blood on my dress. And then I was freaking out that when I was going to get up that I was going to leak everywhere. I was just a hot mess, but I was absolutely fine. It was just a very heavy period. But what I noticed in the morning of when I was about to put my wedding dress on, I'd had an accident and I found out that it was actually my last pair of underwear that I had with me. And so my beautiful bridesmaid, she luckily enough gave me her underwear. And so I was actually able to wear her little underwear throughout the day. But yeah, it was quite funny too because when we went on the dance floor, I had my mini dress on as well. And then as I did the dip, I was very conscious that I was going to be exposed. One would know that it was that time of the month. But yeah, you can't control our hormones. Oh, I guess you can if you want to take a magic pill. But for me, I didn't know where to go get this magic pill or what to say. And it just is what it is. We're just all women. And that was just one of the things I had to deal with and overcome on my big day. It didn't change anything at all. It was just a little speed bump that had to come with us the whole day.
No, I think like almost every woman will relate to that and that feeling that you get, especially when you're wearing a big white dress, that something's going to happen or you're just, paranoid about it. But like definitely something to think about when you're booking your date. Not that you can always line it up perfectly with your cycle, but yeah, and there's, reasons why you might not want to or can't take that pill, or it can have like different side effects and stuff. So, yeah, very relatable girl chat for sure.
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah, so cool to hear your story and perspective. I think people will get a lot out of this.